With the college football season officially over, we're going to start reading up on some mock drafts, and we're going to start today with PFF's latest mock draft. We're going to go through the mock draft, look at the skilled players, and see how we want to value them with that landing spot for Dynasty Fantasy Football. And if you're new to the channel, we do this a few times a week during the off season, just playing Galaxy Brain, trying to figure out the values of these players if the what if scenario happens. But before we dig into this mock draft, you need to click that subscribe button. Tap it with the finger on your phone, click it with the mouse on your computer, because we're going hot and heavy on the NFL draft, getting you ready for your rookie drafts this spring. That way, you're ready to get ahead of the line in your Dynasty League this summer. Click that button, stop missing out. We're looking at PFF's mock draft here, 4.0. First mock draft that we're reviewing on the season here. But if you were here last year, we did this multiple times a week, and we're going to do that again here because it's fun, and we're talking ball on these players. But with the first pick here, the 101, Caleb Williams, and that is not a surprise at all. Caleb Williams, 101. It'll be the top pick in Superflex if this happens. Nobody is thinking anything crazy about him. No one's dropping him in Superflex and Dynasty. In 1 QB, we'll see where he goes in ADP. This is a deep wide receiver class, and this might push down the quarterbacks a little bit in 1 QB. And we got to see how the running backs shake out. However, this is a strong quarterback class. Caleb Williams is the quarterback people have been waiting for to come out for quite some time now. Top tier prospect, Andrew Luck level quarterback prospect coming out for the draft. People have been waiting to spend that rookie draft capital on him, and he's going to be a hot commodity. If you don't want him, you're going to catch a bag for him on the trade market, or at least you should. Really depends on your league. But Caleb Williams, if he goes to the Bears 101, we know what's going to happen. At the second pick, we got the Washington Commanders taking Drake Maye, North Carolina product, taking over his old teammate's role there, Sam Howell, as the number 1 quarterback for the Commanders. And he's going to hold value in Dynasty, especially in Superflex. He's going to be drafted around 102, 103 range in Superflex drafts because the value here at Superflex is 2 commits, and he's second pick off the board. He'll have the draft capital. A lot of people will be kind of leery because he's going to the Commanders here, but usually quarterbacks drafted this high, they're really going to a suspect team. It's very rare that a stud quarterback or a top-tier quarterback or even a first-round quarterback goes to a promising situation. That being said, the Commanders are going to have opportunities to build around him. They need to get their quarterback, though, and start building for the future. He'll hold value in Superflex, and ADP-wise for 1 QB, he's going to be down there a little bit, second round-ish, somewhere around there, because the wide receivers are hot and heavy, and then the running backs, we're waiting to see what juice they get per the draft capital when the real NFL draft happens. And then third pick off the board, the Patriots take Jayden Daniels, and he lit it up last year. Top tier quarterback prospect. He was good the year prior as well. He was really starting to turn things around. He had a slower start to his career, even though he was hot and heavy as a freshman, but really put the stamp on things this year. Really claimed his spot in this year's draft. Him going to the Patriots will make a lot of people very leery of him. However, that might allow you to catch him at a discount. The thing is, in Superflex leagues, quarterbacks are quarterbacks. Any of them can go off, and any of them can just give you mid to bust results, really. So really, you want to take that value as you can. And if he hits, that's a penny stock or a stock you paid up for in your draft. That could return immense value due to the quarterback position. You're going to be leery of the wide receivers and pass catchers there for the Patriots. They historically have not been very good at filling the position. However, eventually they're going to have to get right. Eventually they're going to have to figure it out. And maybe they will once they light a fire with Jayden Daniels. That being said, next pick off the board. This is very dynasty heavy in this draft, but Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. can go anywhere, and he's going to be the top wide receiver in dynasty drafts. A lot of people have been waiting for him to come out for the draft. He's the Bijan Robinson of this year's draft, as he's that prospect that no one's going to waver on, no one's going to argue against. They're looking forward to him to go out for the draft. They're going to draft him. They're not going to think twice about it. He's almost bulletproof. Him going to the Cardinals, you know he's going to be peppered with targets. You know he's going to be the top guy. And it's going to be like that wherever he goes. Marvin Harrison Jr. is just one of those players that you get every so often that you just smash that button on. But with our next pick here, 5 overall, the Chargers select Malik Nabers. And it's almost the same scenario here. Nabers put the stamp on things. He's going to a tremendous situation here with the Chargers. He's going to have Herbert throwing on the ball. Seems like the perfect offense for him. He can be dominant, and I like Nabers a lot. I like him a lot. And the thing about this, when it comes to these situations, when we're looking at the Cardinals and we're looking at the Chargers here, who would you rather have? Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Nabers? Who would you rather have? Who would you rather have on your dynasty team, considering Marvin Harrison Jr. went to the Cardinals, and it's a very juicy spot there with the Chargers for Malik Nabers, and people are looking at his talent not being too far off from Marvin Harrison Jr. That being said, the draft capital's there, the upside's there, the talent's there, the metrics are there. Really, Nabers is up there too, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Who would you want per preference on those picks? But we're scrolling down here. New York Giants, they go tackle. Tennessee Titans, they go tackle. This is a good way to see PFF drafts for free. If you have any other drafts you want me to pull up, just let me know. Atlanta Falcons select Michael Penix. After last night's game, because this draft was posted yesterday, I believe a lot of people's thoughts on Michael Penix has changed a lot. I saw that on Twitter. It's a hate fest towards him. Before it was a love fest. You got to stay right in the middle whenever that happens. You got to look at that love and hate fest on a player on the internet, and you got to stay put. You got to stay grounded and look for things for how it is. The big thing for Penix is the medicals with the knees, really. The medicals with that and how that comes about. Plus, he's an older prospect. He's been in college football for quite a bit. That's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. He does have a lot of experience. He has been productive over the last couple of years here with Washington as well. I don't see him getting drafted in the real NFL draft this high anymore. I just don't see the stock value for that. I could see a team paying up a little bit more, maybe in the back half of the first, maybe in the second. We'll have to watch the tea leaves here throughout the offseason. Even at that, though, we'll see quarterbacks fall in the draft like Will Levis. You're going to have to pay attention to see what happens to him. But I feel like Michael Penix needs to go to a spot where there's weapons. If this really happened, he's going to hold value in Superflex, but Dynasty gamers are going to be a little bit leery on him due to what happened yesterday. However, you're going to have Kyle Pitts. You're going to have Drake London. You're going to have Bijan Robinson. Do you like him better than Ritter? Do you like him better than him? Because back when Ritter was coming out, a lot of people were talking him up as well, and then he fell in his draft. All the quarterbacks fell in that draft. Michael Penix here could be a faller. He could be a big-time faller, or he could be a surprise guy. I think 8's a little rich, and I think this guy who made this draft would like to walk this back. But again, in this scenario, he's going to hold value in Superflex. Maybe back into the first. I could see that due to the quarterback positional value, draft capital, with the weapons he has. A lot of people are going to fade him a little bit due to the wide receiver position. I could definitely see that. And it's really pick your poison there with the other wide receivers who are left on the board, plus the top couple of running backs who get selected on day 2. But let's move on. And it's another pick for Dynasty value here. Odunze going to the Bears, being paired with Caleb Williams. He doesn't really have to be the guy because they got DJ Moore there. That's a good thing. That's going to allow him to develop and transition, allow him to do more on the field. He's going to see the field rather quickly, too. There's no ramp-up period here. So as a rookie, he should be seeing reps early. Week 1, week 2, week 3, early in his career. He's got speed. He's got size. A good thing for Caleb Williams. A good thing for Odunze, who's getting paired with a top-tier prospect. There might be a ramp-up period, but I don't want to say that anymore because we were saying that with C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell last year. We did not need a ramp-up period. We need to be Bayesian with these two players if this situation happens, because Caleb Williams, if he taps into his upside and he taps in to DJ Moore and Odunze, they could be going off. Odunze, even though he's going to the Bears, He's going to be a first-round prospect, middle of the first round, somewhere around there. And let's move on. Jets go tackle. Vikings go Bo Nix. And this shakes things up at the quarterback position. This is going to shake up the first round of Superflex drafts because he's going to be paired with Justin Jefferson. He's going to be paired with Jordan Addison. You're also going to have Hawkins in there. We got some weapons there for him to throw the ball to. And that's probably what he needs. He needs to go to a team that has some weapons so he can develop into the position, develop into his role, and he's going to get those opportunities if he lands in the spot. The draft capital is definitely there at 11. Very high. I don't see him really going that high, but that could happen depending on how needy these teams are at quarterback. But he could slide as well. But he has been productive. He turned it on at Oregon. Now things are definitely going to change if he goes to Minnesota. Because Justin Jefferson, he's going to be Justin Jefferson. And if Nix just taps into his upside just a little bit, that could be a quarterback that explodes on us. And you can catch him at a discount Superflex. Because at this rate, he's going after Jayden Daniels. He's going after Caleb Williams. He's going after Drake Maye. However, you might be drafting him ahead of Michael Penix after what you saw from him on Monday night. But the Minnesota Vikings could be in the position to grab a quarterback to see what happens here. Moving on down here. Broncos. Raiders go cornerback. Saints. Colts go cornerback. Seattle Seahawks. Jacksonville Jaguars. Another biggie comes off the board. Cincinnati Bengals draft Brock Bowers. That's very interesting here for Dynasty Fantasy Football because he's a top-tier tight end prospect. We've been waiting for him to come out for the draft ever since his freshman season, and that rarely ever happens for tight end prospects. He has good size-adjusted athleticism. They've been trying to patch together the tight end position for quite some time now. They are due to pay up for the position just to get it done, just to do it. And this could be the guy to do it with. And at this spot in the draft around 18, we'll see how things change. I could see them doing that. That could make sense. They could go other positions, though. That makes sense as well. But in this draft, if he goes to the Bengals, he's not losing any value, if not gaining maybe a spot or two in ADP. If that, people love them some tight ends in Dynasty. If they get them a top-tier tight end that scores fantasy points, they're going to hold on to that tight end for a bit, whether it's premium or not. Brock Bowers, if he hits in this offense, he's going to be a top-tier asset due to him being with the Bengals. There's a big love affair with the Bengals assets here due to him being tied to this offense. He does have a lot of upside with his skill set, yards after the catch, the speed, everything we see on tape. So this could be a tremendous fit for both parties, the Bengals and Brock Bowers. Packers go cornerback. Tampa Bay goes defense. Arizona Cardinals gets Kool-Aid. Remember studying him during high school. Pittsburgh Steelers go defense. Dolphins, offensive tackle. Eagles, cornerback. And then the Chiefs go with Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. And he hasn't been going in the first round many rookie mock drafts, but we're seeing him go in the first round in a lot of regular mock drafts for the NFL. That being said, I would not be surprised if he gets drafted this high or higher or a little bit lower but still high holding value. And that would make him a candidate to get drafted in the first round of rookie drafts. I look for his stock to increase a little bit during the offseason when people start to look back at him, when people start to look and study up for the draft. I look for a big draft to start talking Brian Thomas up a little bit more. I look for that to happen. If he goes to the Chiefs in the first round, there's a very good chance he goes in the first round of rookie drafts. People love themselves some Chiefs. Brian Thomas will get Kansas City Chiefs privilege in fantasy football. His stock will go through the roof. He'll get drafted in the first round. He'll no longer be a second-round candidate. He'll definitely be in the first round somewhere. And him getting first-round draft capital, going to the Chiefs, knowing what we saw from the Chiefs wide receivers, should be getting an opportunity to be able to do something in fantasy early in his career. But let's move forward here. Houston Texans, offensive line. Detroit Lions, defense here. Almost done with the first round. And here's another fun one. Troy Franklin to the Buffalo Bills. Gabe Davis is going to be a free agent, so this kind of makes sense. They need a wide receiver too. Stephon Diggs had a huge cold streak in the back half of the season. that you need to start backfilling a little bit, start getting some talent there at wide receiver, start increasing some things there on offense to really help Josh Allen and company. He's good downfield. And this is a good match because Josh Allen loves to push the ball downfield. This is a perfect match, a perfect combo. Troy Franklin's going to be seeing air yards. He's going to be seeing opportunity. A great spot for him in fantasy. This is a good match. If this happens in real life, bump him up the rankings, bump him up ADP, draft him ahead of ADP because this is just the perfect match. Him going to a quarterback that pushes it downfield just plays in the Troy Franklin skill set. Most of the time he gets drafted in the first round of mock drafts. However, every so often, maybe 1 out every 6 or so, he falls to the second round. If this happens, that ain't happening ever. That ain't happening ever. He'll be a first rounder. He'll probably be pushing 106, 107, 108 range in ADP. If not, maybe a little bit higher. Depends on if he gets a lot of cred for going to the Bills. If he gets pumped up, then that might go a little bit higher. Depending on what kind of league you're in. If it's super flex, he's in that range. If it's 1 QB, maybe a shade higher. Maybe. But you got to remember, 3 wide receivers are coming off the board for sure before him. Odunze, Nabers, and Harrison Jr. Troy Franklin, though, it's a perfect spot for him. Going down here. Cowboys go line, which they need to do. We got the Niners going O-line. Ravens go defense. And we got a sneak peek into the second round. At pick 33, the Panthers select Keon Coleman at Florida State. Interesting here for the Carolina Panthers due to what we saw this year. We got Bryce Young developing. We also got Jonathan Mingo there, who's the bigger wide receiver, who's highly athletic. Keon Coleman, bigger wide receiver, good at the catch point, very strong hands. I look for the draft community, the Dynasty Fantasy Football market, to fade him a little bit. And I look for him to go in the latter part of the first round of rookie drafts, depending if it's 1 QB. A super flex, he's definitely going in the second. If it's 1 QB, he might sneak into the back end of the first, depending on what happens at the running back position. Also, the second round might be where he's at. That's where Jonathan Mingo went. That's where some of the other second round wide receivers. We already saw a good bit of wide receivers come off the board in the first round with better draft capital. Also, his production profile is kind of scary. The Panthers are kind of scary. I can see the market leaning away due to what we saw from the Panthers. They do need to get more weapons there. They do need to get younger weapons as well. Is it a great fit? We got to see. It's a thing, though, that I think the market's going to allow you to catch Coleman at a discount if you like him. The Browns going Tez Walker at 59. I do not know why they're splitting up their picks, doing just 2 random picks in the second round. The thing about this, you got Amari Cooper, you got Elijah Moore. Together, those guys are eating close to a 40 to 50% target share, and that's volatile from week to week. We don't know if Njoku is just going to be there for the long haul now, just soaking up targets after what we saw over those last few games. Cedric Tillman was starting to get some run over the back half of the season there. Not much because Amari Cooper was going off and they started to sprinkle Elijah Moore back in, getting more targets. That being said, the Browns could add another wide receiver. They could spend up for that and try to backfill that position. That if that happens, he's going to have some competition there. He's a player that you might be able to buy like 6 months, a year or so after your draft to pick up, and you're going to catch him at a fair price in rookie drafts, second round or so, because second round draft capital, he's going to be boxed in with the other pass catchers on the Browns. That being said, you're getting a talent there at a cheap discount, and that's the end of the draft. They gave us 2 random picks in the second round. They didn't tell us why. So weird, but that's PFF. That's what they do. Let me know what you think about their mock draft in general. Let me know who you're trying to draft in your rookie draft. We're going to be doing this a couple times a week. Next week might be a little bit slower because I'm going to Disney. I'll have content out, but it's just going to be a little bit random. That being said, let me know who you're looking at for your rookie drafts here in the next few months. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.